Welcome to a special edition of Title 24 presented by NBC Sports. RV and I have someone very popular in the last day or two, making waves in the moto industry for good reason. That is exciting for sure, and climbing up the ladder, no doubt about that. But before we get going for this special edition, we'd like to thank our partners, United Motorsports, Boxo, Quadlock, and Dunlop. We appreciate you guys. And special edition, special guest, happy to bring the man of the hour in fresh to Triumph Racing America, and that is Jeremy Coker. Jeremy, what's going on? You been a little busy?
Oh, not much. Thanks for having me on. Just getting my feet on the ground here and getting moving. It's a lot to undertake, but it's been good. It's been fun. It's going to be a good challenge.
Well, congratulations, number one, on all of your success throughout your career. We'll talk about that. Thank you for coming on. No doubt about that, Jeremy. But certainly well-deserved with how well you've done as a team manager. And again, through your progression, as we'll talk about that. But so you're new to Triumph. Why don't you tell everybody, instead of myself and RV, why don't you tell everybody what your new position is and what it all entails?
Yeah, so I've been given the amazing opportunity to take on a position here in Triumph. My official title is General Manager of Triumph Racing America. It entails quite a bit. It's not just overseeing the race team, it's overseeing every form of racing that Triumph does in America. And, currently, yes, that is motocross, supercross, supermotocross, but eventually it's something that's going to be a much bigger position. We're going to have to grow, into amateur racing, GNCC, all of the aspects of dirt bike racing. So that's what I've been hired on to do, and that's going to be a big task for me, but I'm willing to do it.
I feel like first and foremost, to be respected at a corporate level for a position like that, a GM position, and just what all it entails. And like you just said, it's not just Super Motocross Series, it's other forms of racing that the brand will be entering here soon. You have to be pretty pumped on that. And I think it's basically, and I'll pat yourself on the back for you. It's a testament to your managing skills, what you bring to the table, and all your hard work through the years. It's got to make you feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's always something that I've looked up and wanted to be the highest, one of the highest positions you can be in this sport industry. And I from being a kid, I always wanted to be a team manager, and I got to achieve that, and that was a huge thing for me. And it was time for me to do the best I could to take the next step in my career and in my life. That it's no secret that our sport is a taxing and grueling sport of travel and time away from your family. And that was a big aspect for me it was time for me to make a change to where I could be home a little bit more, watch my kids grow. And this was an opportunity that jumped out in front of me, and I had to take it. I give every bit of appreciation to Bobby and Brad over at Star. I wouldn't be the person I am, the anything that I am, if it wasn't for those guys and the opportunity that they gave me to do what I did there for 11 years. So without them, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. That's for sure.
Yeah, I got to say, I have a tremendous amount of respect, number one, for what you did at Star, and also that you said Bobby and Brad, they're great people. Obviously, Jeremy, you and I and Brad travel a lot together these past several years, especially since when Star acquired the goat farm. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for them, and it was a cool journey to watch your progression. And before RV hits you with some questions, like for people that maybe don't know Jeremy and what his progression looked like, and I didn't know this for a long time until you had told me a couple of years back. But just share with people your progression from when you first started at Star, what you were doing until just recently when you were a team manager. Like bring us through that progression.
Yeah, I mean, it starts even before Star, and I've been around racing my entire life with my, with the family situation, and I didn't have the riding genes, but I enjoyed the sport, and that's kind of all I knew. So, even from day one, as a kid, I was always, the Christian's mechanic. And, in 2010, I had the opportunity to go to work at Troy Lee Designs, and that was my, I would say, initial launch into the professional rankings of this sport. I was a mechanic there for a couple of years, and then in 2014, I started at Star Racing as a mechanic for Anthony Rodriguez. And at the end of 2014, I got offered the opportunity to move into the engine department, which I thought was pretty awesome. At that point, I knew that Brad had, respected me and knew that I was bigger and better than just being at the mechanic level. And so from there, I knew at that point that I had a ladder to climb, and it was all up to me to do it. So, I was in the engine department there from 2014, all the way really up to the end of 2020 when we took the 450 team over. But not only just in the engine department, but at the same time, kind of the crew chief role, ordering parts, all the things that I didn't really know at the time, but all the things that you also do when you become the team manager. So it was almost as if Brad was kind of grooming me to get to that position. And now looking back, it's man, I was really appreciative at the time. I'm thinking, holy smokes, this is a lot of work, but he was preparing me. And so, and in 2021, when the Star Racing took over the 450 team, it was kind of a really big surprise when he pulled me in and said, hey, do you want to manage this thing? And I didn't even think about it. Yeah, absolutely. Then after I said, yeah, he goes, well, just so you know, Yamaha and all of our sponsors, we have to win this year. Like, there's no waiting to win. And that kind of hit me like, oh, wow. But fortunately with the team that we had, and myself and Brad and Bobby, we were able to do it. That year, that outdoor season, we went and won the championship with Dylan Ferrandis. And I think we shocked the world. We shocked ourselves as well. But that was like I would say, the launch of my team manager career. It made it a little tough for sure, winning the championship the first year being a team manager, because then it was like, okay, there's your expectation, and anything less, you're not doing your job.
Right. Yep.
But at the same time, you have to surround yourself with the right people to win that championship. It's not me. I'm just sitting behind the computer and doing these kind of talks. It's the riders, the crew members, everything that you build, the team. And that's one thing I think that a lot of people need to really understand, that a team is a true aspect to the sport. Sure, is it an individual sport? If you want to look at it one way, yes. Yeah, the rider, he's not out there as a team, but without the team, that rider is nothing. I don't want to say that in a bad way, but that it is really, truly is a team sport if you look at it from a different view. So I think an important part of the team manager aspect is the team that you have surrounding you.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously I've never worked with you, Coker, but went through a few team managers throughout the years of my racing, and going through the steps, climbing up that ladder, like you said, doing all of those different positions. I think that's what makes a great team manager. I've had some good ones and I've had some bad ones. Same with you, Ricky. You've probably had some ones you gelled with, ones you didn't. But I think from the rider standpoint, having somebody that you can trust in, number one. If you don't trust your team manager or your mechanic, any one of those personnel, I think that's red flag number one. But I think, knowing a little bit of the suspension department, the motor department, how things are ran, and getting things done in a timely manner, because we race 17 races in 18 weekends, essentially. There's things that, when you have a fire drill on Monday, it's like back at the test track. Hey, we need to get our shit together in 2 days because we're back on the plane. The mechanics are on Wednesday, riders are on, Friday, and we're back at the track. Or we're back at the races. So I think that's that's a huge asset, not just coming from picking a person for a team manager position. Yes, that understands the sport, but that hasn't gone through all of the steps. I think is what's really valuable for Triumph now to have you there, is because you've done it all and seen it all and had your hands on majority of all of it.
For sure. And I think, staying relevant is also, in all those trades, is very important. I think even it comes down to, when we were just in Vancouver with Eli, you know, it was me and the mechanic, but we had in between practices, we had a fire drill, and staying relevant is massive because if I wasn't there, Eli wasn't making the next practice because it takes two of us to change an engine. You know, I think we did it in 12 minutes, but me having that skill of doing it in the past, exactly like you just said, RV, is so important because now the rider and the mechanic both trust that I can jump in and help that situation. And as a rider, you guys both understand you really do have to trust the people that are doing that because now you're getting back on that motorcycle and going and jumping a triple. So staying relevant is massive as well in the team manager role. Staying, like, you know, right before this call, I was in the engine department talking to the engine department, in the chassis department talking to the chassis department. You have to stay relevant of what's going on because if you lose touch with that, yeah, you're not going to be able to make changes and make calls and keep those riders believing in you.
Or educated changes, right? Like actually knowing what's going on and not just making the decision from behind a desk. You know, we you know, actually being, like you said, in the engine department, in the chassis department, running through engine hangars, this and that. It's not only that the rider and the engineer knows what's going on. You can help facilitate and maybe make a direction change or throw something in there that they never thought about because you're educated in that department. So I think it helps. The more hands on deck, the better in those scenarios, especially in this off-season time. And when you just got dropped into this position, right? We're already in December. I mean, we're going racing in like literally, you know, I don't know what it is now, 20 odd days. So I'm sure you have a stack of paperwork on your desk that you're going to have to go through and a lot of late nights coming up just to get your bearings right.
Yeah, hopefully RC's talked to Hot Sauce enough and trusted me because as soon as this call's over, we're hitting the track. So he's about to find out if he trusts me or not.
Yeah. So coming on. Yeah. I mean, listen, you're thrown into the hornet's nest, but you have like RV, and you both have talked about, Jeremy, how, you know, you've touched every single thing basically throughout your career, being involved with race teams and being the team manager of the 450 team at Star Yamaha. So moving forward, kind of, again, you're walking into a hornet's nest, getting everything sorted out. So the immediate plan, before all the other racing starts and the real GM role starts, where you don't have to be at the shop every day and overseeing a whole bunch of different racing departments, Triumph Racing America. Like what's the first item that you're trying to knock out, let's say in the first month or so?
Yeah, I think the immediate plan is, you know, like RV just hit, you know, when we get to this time of the year, I like to say we have 15 days till Anaheim because, you know, the truck has to get on the road, the bikes have to be built, you're out of time. So right now we have 15 days till we go racing, and it's a big task. So my task for these next, I want to say 10 days, is to make sure that I do everything I can for Triumph to make sure that come Anaheim 1, that we have a very good showing, to show that I can guide the team that is already here. You know, Scuba is the team manager. I'm coming in to guide him, to oversee, to help him be successful at this first race. To now being inside to see what they had and the stuff that they have and the success that they did have last year. And yes, they had some issues and troubles, but the success that this brand did have last year, I am mind blown, and I give them all the credit in the world because there is still a lot of things. This is a brand new brand. This is a brand new motorcycle. Everybody's learning at the same time. It's like this wall right behind me. Everything is still a blank canvas. And I do believe that with this blank canvas and the right people in motion and utilizing the correct people, that can become a masterpiece right here behind me. And that's one thing that my goal and my vision is to try to help steer the ship the direction of that. You know, I think we have a big task at Anaheim. We have the opportunity to do well, but at the same time we have the big task because the big boss is going to be there, and that's going to be big for me. And I want to prove to him that, you know, even in the 15 days that I was here, I was able to make a difference. So that's what I'm focused on right now. I still am a little bit in the trenches, probably I'd say from here to Anaheim. Like I stated a minute ago, we were doing some bike stuff, and now we're about to go hit the track with Ivan and see where we can gain there. And that's the biggest thing that I want to make sure of, as I will say, the GM role, is that we are utilizing the people that Triumph already has. They have amazing people here, as in Ivan, in the other brand ambassador, Ricky Stanton, the people here, the engine development people here. But if you don't utilize them properly, it's not a good thing. So I think from the GM standpoint of the role, that's going to be a big thing for me, of using them, utilizing them, communicating constantly, communication with the UK, going to the UK. So many things from the GM standpoint are going to be important. But to answer your question directly, in the next 15 days, I feel like I'm still going to be in the manager role.
Yep, totally.
Making sure that we're ready.
Yeah. I mean, that might even be more than 15 days, right? Get to the East Coast swing. Hopefully everybody, yes. It all dies down. The hype, the Anaheim one, it's always so rushed. And then everybody finds their swing once they find that, So, but yeah, so we'll switch
I
into
love this.
Racing,
I'm so pumped for this.
More the racing side of it, obviously I talked to Ricky prior to this. Comms has been on this show a couple times as a topic, the 9 whoop situation, obviously you're in a different role or position going to be here in the future, but adding that team manager in the team manager's booth, obviously you guys fight tooth and nail as with certain situations, red flag situations, a pass here or this rule that may have been changed in the last 30 seconds before, or whatever. We know the situations with AMA and just little things here and there that as riders or team managers, you're like, whoa, come on here. Let's look at this from this angle. I know you guys fight tooth and nail for each one of your riders if they're ever in a situation like that. So what's your opinion on the 9 whoops? Cause I'm a fan of more. Yeah.
I think 9 whoops is pretty sad. I want to bring back more whoops, bigger whoops. And I go a little bit backpedal on the bigger whoops. I don't even care if they're on the smaller side. More whoops is Supercross. It's racing. I think you, especially when you go to 9, even if you made it 10, when you go to 9, it's a rhythm section.
Yep.
And it really is. It's triple. Okay. Well, we just added another rhythm section to this racetrack.
You guys are nuts.
You don't like it.
I think Ricky's going to argue.
You guys are absolute. I watched Jason Anderson blitz by Cooper Webb at Philadelphia on the outside when Coop was going 3-3-3.
Yeah, well, it was lucky that he hit Cooper Webb. Otherwise, he wasn't stopping. I think Ricky's going to argue this point because we all know that whoops were his favorite.
That's right. That's right. The data proves that any more than 9 whoops sometimes can be hazardous.
Yeah, I think we go back to the old riders meetings, and this is an inherently dangerous sport. And if you have any issues with it, go ahead and withdraw your sign up now.
Yeah.
I understand safety is important. It for sure is, but this is a racing. This is a competitive sport, and I think at a certain point we're starting to take a little bit of the competitiveness out of it. I'll even go down to putting the starting greats, and I think you kind of made that up. If you want to talk about dangerous, you're now getting Supercross or 2040 Motocross to the turn nearly at the same time now because it's almost brainless. So I think when we talk about what's the most dangerous spot on the track, in my opinion, it's the first turn.
Yeah, I mean, look, I 100% agree with the great situation. It prioritized your lap time in practice to make sure, we would go to Phoenix every year, and there might only been 3 good gates or 4 good gates on the inside, and the rest, a few of the other ones were blue groove, or there was a hole out in front of the gate, or whatever the case may be. Now it's all even. It doesn't matter if you're a great practicer or a good practicer or whatever the case may be. Lap times, it's all equal, which I think there should be their priority to the person that is fastest in practice. I mean, that's what you have time practice for, is for a gate pick. And a lot of times when it was a dirt start, you're like, dude, we have to, like, there were certain tracks we would go to that you have to be inside the top 5. We would know before we go down, look at the gates. Okay, it's going to be a tough night tonight with gate selection, and we need to be up front in practice. I mean, that's huge strategy throughout the day and in early parts of the day, because it sets up your trajectory for the night most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's big. I think that's one thing. You know, I think there's definitely lots of parts that I wish a little bit of old school would come back. You know, now we 9 loops, no dragon backs, no this. Well, they were quadding. We're going to make that not quaddable. You know, there's so many things. I get it. At the end of the day, it's their job to make sure that riders make it to the end of the season. But either way, I think it's still a dangerous sport. And
Totally.
You're making it a little more even playing, you know, a platform. But I like to be able to keep it a little spread out a little bit more.
But I could say the same thing, like, or say like, hey, instead of worrying about 9 whoops or the grates versus dirt, like, why don't we put the skiddy? And I know it's a timing thing. I get it that there's only so much time throughout the day and then in the night show. But like, I was at Seattle this past year, and the 333 before the whoops, like, it was so ruddy. Foot pegs were dragging, like. If you want safety, like, that's another area where maybe you could have just took another, 2 skid steers in that rhythm section and gave yourself 10 minutes and did a couple of the takeoffs. And, that would have improved the safety by a mile, but they're worried about other aspects of the track. I mean, from a rider standpoint, I'd be like, hey man, I don't want to drag my foot pegs off the triple or the finish line, And
I think I've brought this up to AMA, I brought this up to Phil, I brought it to everybody. I think, and you guys are on the rider standpoint, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but there's an easy solution. In my opinion, get rid of one practice, and that opens up so much time for track maintenance. We don't need to be on the track that much.
100. I think too, now with how everyone just goes so fast for one lap and then they chill for a couple laps, like, you're just asking for them to hurt themselves. I agree. That to me would be the first thing. If I was running it, which I'm not, thank God I'm not running it, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to run it, but 100%, those guys are on the track too long. They have it figured out on the warm up. It's crazy.
I feel like you guys have it figured out on track walking all reality. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be the solution to what you just said, RV, of, we don't have time to prep it. Well, you can. I'll give you, what is that? If you eliminated one practice, that's 6. That's what, almost an hour. That's 6 practices at 10 minutes. There's an hour more track maintenance. So there is solutions. It's just,
and if the things like, if the question is, we don't have, like, that's not enough time for maybe the privateers, or that's not enough time for some of these other guys, like, honestly, it would have worked into my favor when I was racing, because I'll go back to, like, racing Dunge. He was one of the guys that I raced every single weekend. It took him a little bit longer to figure out the track and get his settings right and make sure he was comfortable. It's just another way of training yourself, or training the mentality of the racer, is like, okay, well, we only have this much time, and it might take a couple years for some guys to figure it out. But at that point, the 450 and the 250, you come out, you walk the track, like you said, Coker, is like, okay, we're 3 in here. Potentially there might be a 4 right here, or, like, you pretty much have everything, the combinations figured out when you walk the track, because the bikes are they were good when we raced and they were good when Ricky raced, but they're that much better now. They're better.
You know what they're capable of.
Yes.
It's crazy. Well, dude, I'm so pumped for you. Again, I taking my analyst and Title 24 hat off. I'd be lying to say that I'm not over the moon happy that you're at Triumph. I think you bring a lot to any program. Your results speak for themselves. The incredible opportunity that Star gave you, and for you to consider the position at Triumph. We're pumped to have you. We believe in you. We talked about your accolades and your progression through the sport, and you're a great leader. I think you push when you need to. I think you make the right calls. And I don't think that anyone ever makes the right calls all the time, but you're there for good reason. And you just want to win, and you want the brand to succeed, or you want the riders to succeed. You want your crew to be good. And I think you're going to lead this program to where it needs to be, especially from the American side, and even the brand in general, with working with the MXGP team and all that stuff. I think there's so many aspects of the brand that I think you're going to bring a lot of positive movements towards. And we're happy to have you. And I think I think you can do great. And I hope that you enjoy it in making that next step in the corporate world. I think this is a great opportunity to go to the next step. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's not to say anything negative about Star. I just think that this is going to be good for you, and I'm pumped for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. There's definitely a lot of work to be done. Especially with the 450 coming out, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, and I never turn the challenge down, so I'm ready for this one.
Man, that was crazy. I mean, you think about what what has transpired in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously he had a tremendous experience and opportunity at Star, and I know just like you do, we have a ton of respect for that race team, and this definitely came quick. But I think from a corporate side, and him wanting to advance his position in a corporate world, it sounded like this was a perfect opportunity for him to take a position like this where he can make an impact. I think the guy can. And you talked about it, RV, like you brought the heat today about how he has touched everything. That's what I really respect about Lars Lindstrom too. Like I've talked about, he was a test practice guy. Like when I was, they've touched every single role throughout their progression. And I think that's key, man.
Yes. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. I just think it educates them more. I think the rider has more trust in them. I think like you said, going that corporate route, I think it's obviously a big jump.
Yeah.
He was at Star Racing for 11 years, he said.
Yeah.
And touched every aspect of
program,
the program at that team. But now moving, obviously Star being that it's a privately owned team backed by, call it factory Yamaha, for that next trajectory, for that next jump in his career, now being tied with actually the manufacturer Triumph. The sky's the limit. Like he said, he has, it is the GM of SuperMotocross, Supercross, and Motocross, but that's just right now. It's going to be off road. It's whatever other
amateurs off road, and then
off road. They make street bike stuff. Obviously, I know Triumph makes crate engines. I think for Moto3, right? So
that's right.
I think that's obviously a great position to be in, and there's a lot of growth that can come into it even after this Supercross motocross role, if need be, or if he wants to go any further inside of that company.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, again, that's what I said at the end. Selfishly, having him on the brand, I think it's awesome to have someone. I mean, you know how it is when you bring someone that has the accolades that he does. It's definitely comforting, and I think he'll do great things for sure. It's not like anything. Nothing ever is going to come easy, but I feel like we got the right guy in place. So I'm pumped for him.
Totally.
He seems pretty stoked. So that's it, dude. You're gonna I'm gonna let you go. Because you got to get out to the practice track and
back again. Get the boys riding, and that seems like my life these days is practice right mechanic and taking the boys riding, and see where we can, or see where I can get these guys to go in this industry. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm a hobbyist now, and that's kind of like I'm doing it for the love of it and the fun of it for myself, right?
When we're not on a special edition, everybody listening, tuning in, if you're either listening or you're watching, RV has a really good story of what the progression looks like. Friggin' trailers, renegades, where qualifiers are at. We don't have time for that on the special edition here of Title 24 with Jeremy Coker, but we'll leave that for a long form one. But again, thank you, Jeremy Coker, for coming on, and all of our partners, United Motorsports, Quad Lock, Boxo, Dunlop. You guys are the best. Remember, you can listen to us. We are on all the podcast applications, and then we're on Motorsports on NBC's YouTube page. As you know, you hear it all the time here on Title 24, and then of course Peacock. We are on demand there. So go give this one a listen. This is definitely shaken up the SMX world, no doubt, for good reason, and we appreciate everyone's support. We'll see you next time.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.